Hey, Dan, how did the guys kind of bounce back, from the game after coming off the layoff? And are everybody pretty healthy?
Yeah, I mean, with the 2 games in a week, you've got to take the 1 day off. So they were off yesterday, and obviously, from having not played or practiced much, guys are pretty sore, and guys are pretty sore overall. But just in terms of injuries, everybody came out well. But definitely fatigued. I mean, guys go from doing what they were doing to being in a game like that then goes to overtime. Felt like we were back in Atlantis, but hopefully we get a good, hopefully we get a great home crowd on Wednesday night. In Gampel, place we love to play, and hopefully a great home crowd will give us that added boost.
Mike, Anthony.
Hey, Dan.
What's up, Mike?
Not much. You guys have had quite a few games go down the wire, obviously, some wins, some losses. What do you think your team is learning from those experiences? How do you think you guys have handled everything so far, just looking at the whole body of work with games like that?
Yeah, some of them, obviously we were in multiple games that could have gone either way. The Auburn game, we obviously we handled well, and ended up winning a game that was obviously very close. The VCU game was another close game that we found a way to win late. The Michigan State, this the game against Bonnie's was a game that was fairly close game late that we were able to execute late, as well as Marquette. And then we've had some other games where we where we didn't. All the situations were kind of a little bit different. Some were some times where if we get the stop in overtime up 1, we have a chance to make free throws and potentially put the game away. Or was it a situation where we didn't make the big shot or the big play. We're going to be in a lot of games like this the rest of the way, and we'll get more comfortable in them. And games like this have a way of evening themselves out, hopefully over the course of the year.
Roger.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a similar question to that, Dan. Just you talked about needing to close a little bit better. You're tired of losing. Is there something that you can do to help you? Is it just a matter of the players becoming a little bit more experienced in big game situations?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, anytime that you're in a situation where you're up 1, down 1, you're playing with fire. So let's get up by 5 or 7, and not try and be in a situation where, where it's a 1 possession game and you have the ball as the clock's running down. Obviously the remedy for that would be to have, multiple guys that you could put in the ball in their hands that are, creative shot makers, shot takers. That's not necessarily how we're built. We're built different. I think we made a multitude of mistakes at the defensive end versus Seton Hall, and in other games where we would have had maybe a little bit more breathing room. We could have maybe played with a 2 possession lead late, but obviously, we're going to have to find a guy that that can win. That can win. One-on-one situation at the end of a big time game. And we're going to have to kind of, it could be RJ. Obviously he had fouled out. But we're going to have to find somebody else that we could get the ball in their hands late to just break down the defense and go make a play.
Thank you.
Dave?
Hey, Dan, I wanted to ask you about Alex Caravan joining the program, and for that matter, Corey as well. What are the obvious benefits to them, joining early, enrolling early? And do you foresee, continuing to try to do this with future recruits, maybe depending on the recruit, I guess, but is this something the staff and you will continue to do?
Yeah, I think it's obviously situational, and some of it was kind of circumstantial with both those guys, but they get a chance to be a part of obviously a big time college program. What practice is like, what the level of basketball is like. I think that first time that you get into a Big East practice is certainly an eye opener. I think they'll, for guys like Corey and Alex, I think guys you want to play early in your career. It gives me a chance to grab them and explain to them why some freshmen get on the court and why others don't, and here are the things that you need to do when you're eligible. You're going to want to play a lot as a freshman. This is how you could be earn our trust. So we get a whole year of, or at least Alex gets a half a year, and Corey's seeing the whole thing right now.
Neil?
Yeah, I want to ask you about Jalen. How important is it to get him going? Obviously, he's had a little bit of a rough stretch here, and not that you expect RJ to foul out every game, but in situations like that where he's going to be counted on a little more, how is important?
Yeah, Jalen was a guy we counted on, just thinking about that recruiting class of, him and a Cook and James being that first class. James is out of here. Cook's had some good moments. Jalen was a guy with the makeup of this team that we've really needed to this point as another, creator, a guy that could attack the paint and make plays and create offense. And push the ball with his athleticism. It's a very important, it's an important time for him to, to step up and step forward and play better. We need, I wouldn't have imagined going into the year that in 2 games where he wasn't hurt or in foul trouble that, he'd be, playing 8 or 9 minutes a game here. I would have imagined, a much bigger role based on, where we hope things would be, but he still, just like this team, he still has a chance to accomplish everything he wants to accomplish. We have so many games left. We got 17 league games left, so he can still have the type of year that he wants. But he's got to do it now.
Joe, zone?
Yes. Dan, you mentioned you got to find that guy who can close for you. Isn't that a born with quality? Can you actually coach or teach that kind of mentality to a kid?
Yeah, I mean that killer, that assassin mentality. Like, I want the ball, get out of my way.
Yeah.
You certainly make a good point. There's no drill for that. But we do. We got a lot of really, really talented players. We've got some young ones I think could develop into that. I think we have some older guys that, are going to have the ability to do that as well. I just think for us, we could have done things to avoid the ball being in somebody's hands to bail us out with, with a game-winning shot. There were so many. We were so soft on the ball with our one-on-one defense. We was probably individually, not probably. It was by far the worst individual defensive game we've had. If we just play an okay defensive game, we get out of there, maybe winning by a couple possessions. So I think my focus right now, is to get us to play. Obviously play better during the course of the game so that it isn't a 1-point game, but when the game gets to that point, the right guy's going to have to, is going to have to get into space and make a play.
Shreyas?
Dan, you mentioned freshmen and, trying to get minutes and get into play more. What do guys like Diggins and Sampson need to do to get more consistent playing time this year and throughout their career?
Yeah, I think to continue to come on and practice, I don't think there's no politics in minutes. If there was a guy that was killing it in practice, there'd be a mutiny on this ship. If I was holding a guy back, I think I've, throughout my career as a coach, I've played freshmen, started them, played them in significant roles, throughout the multitude of places I've been. But when you look at these games that we're playing, there's not many freshmen out on the court, period. COVID, with that COVID season where you're playing in a lot of cases against fourth, fifth, sixth year players. Seton Hall is an old team. Providence is an old team. We're not playing against a lot of freshmen in these games, minus, Marquette had a couple. So, Sampson's a significant talent. Rasul's got a chance to be a good player. You just try to keep, obviously, Jordan was set back during the Christmas break by missing so much time, and it's affected his minutes, but you gotta be patient and become a good player and force your way out on the court by how you show up for practice every day. And when you consistently show us that you're a better option than what we're sending out on the court, then you go out there.
Roger? Roger, you're muted.
All right. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. How did everybody come out of the last game, especially Adama with the injury and stuff? He certainly looked strong. Did everybody come out pretty healthy?
Yeah, you could see, when you watch the film, I think I think some of the defensive issues were we needed to be tougher, need to be mentally tougher and a little grittier and a little grimier to get it done. But you could see that guys were fatigued, and I wish I was more comfortable with the way some of the guys were playing off the bench to give them more minutes, so we had a little bit more legs, to close. But guys came out of it, I think, feeling pretty good physically. Obviously, you never feel good about losing, especially at a place like this.
Jacob?
Coach, you talked about the one-on-one defense, and with Champagnie coming in, averaging 21 points a game, what do you think the keys are to limiting his production on offense and keeping their offense at bay in general?
Yeah, I think it's not easier because Champagnie's an NBA player, but I just think you go into the game, knowing that you've got to do a great job on Champagnie and Posh, and it starts there. The issue with the Seton Hall game was, with all due respect to Kadari, that scout was about Bryce Aiken and Kale and Roden. There were probably, so now you find yourself getting torched by a guy that has been a nice rotation piece. So I think going into this one, I think it's you set your game plan around taking guys like Roden, guys like Bryce, Bryce Aiken, Kale out of the game as much as you can, and obviously Champagnie and Posh are guys that that hurt us last year, especially Posh. So.
Gavin? Dan, St. John's I think they lead the league in steals. How important is it to kind of take care of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, we this will be the most pressure that we've been under, since the Bahamas, like the VCU and the Auburn, particularly the second half there. So we've got experience. Spent a lot of time today breaking it down, our spacing, and it is a concern. We don't have a ton of handlers. We don't, have a ton of guards that can go by. Can go by you when the other team is aggressive in passing lanes and trapping. So, we're going to need to just kind of, they take you out of a lot of things that you're trying to run. So now you're in a situation where I think, we're just going to have to be sharp passing and cutting and just kind of playing basketball. It should be a really, really fun game because they're one of the fastest teams in the country in terms of getting shots up quickly, and we'll certainly play it at a fast pace as well.
Dave, did you have another question?
That kind of answered my question a lot. I guess I would just say, do you think the guys, this game will be at a pace that you guys kind of prefer? I mean, you prefer to play a faster paced game like this tomorrow or Wednesday?
I think we're sitting somewhere in terms of offensive possessions. I don't know where we were today, maybe top 125, top 130, which is kind of where we thought we'd be. And it dropped a little bit coming out of, the Providence game. Those guys play, really, really slow the game down, and really, really play a half court game. And, we usually play quality defense, which means longer possessions for the opposing offense. So I think our guys will be excited about about a game that's going to be pretty open and and a real players game tomorrow, because they force you to play. They force you to go by people and make plays and to be sharp with the ball. And if you don't, things get really, really, really messy.
Gavin?
And I'm just curious, do you think you guys have played a complete game yet, or you come close to it?
Yeah, I don't. Complete game where everybody plays well and everyone. No, I don't. The perfect game. I don't know that we've been able to maybe do that. I think we've played large stretches of games. Obviously, you have to play really, really well to beat a team like Auburn. I don't know if we played necessarily a perfect game, but I think they've, proven themselves to be one of the best teams in the country, and we beat them in one of the best games of the year. I'd say for us right now, Gavin, we're like, we you never feel good. Obviously, at a place like this, anytime you lose, there's a certain level of hysteria that begins. My job right now is to get these guys just to kind of turn off the noise and to lock in on what we're doing, to understand that with 17 games to go, we could accomplish all the goals we set out to accomplish. That when we're fully healthy, we have a chance to be potentially as good as anybody, and that we've had a chance to win every game we've played, and that we got to just kind of turn off the outside noise, hope that we get a good crowd on Wednesday, and start trying to stack up some wins here. But complete perfect game. I think we've played well in some games so far.